In this video, I shiny hunted in every single wild zone to definitively prove which one is the single best for shiny hunting. Every zone will be critiqued for its variety of Pokemon, for how many Mega Pokemon there are per area, and for how convenient it is going to be to hunt in a given area. We're also going to be showing my results and my shiny reactions to every shiny I found during the testing process. And let me tell you, there are some ridiculous shinies in that list. Oh! Shiny Alpha! What the? And hey, obligatory sub plug here. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I got a lot more of these types of videos coming, and you don't want to miss out on them. Area 1 is the first area in the game. It might not come as a surprise to find that it's going to be directly at the center. Now, it has a lot of good and a lot of bad. It's very visually impressive. It's a very pretty area as far as the wild zones go. It has some decent Pokemon spawns. It has a few Megas, a few fan favorite shinies. But what it lacks really is good spawn points for the fly method, as well as lacking other methods. It's difficult to get into range of hunting for Mareep, but it does have two different fly points that you can go to try to alleviate some of those issues. But those areas do overlap quite a bit. So ultimately, this is kind of the middle of the road. This is kind of the marker of not quite great, not quite bad, just kind of exactly what you'd expect out of the first area. The second area, ironically, is one of the better areas in the game. It has a lot of interesting design, but it also has a lot of interesting Pokemon. Right off the bat, you can find Pokemon like Budew and Patrat, who Patrat hasn't been in a game in a while, so a lot of people are trying to shiny hunt it, and Roserade has a fan favorite shiny. As on top of that, though, it also has interesting night spawns in Staryu, and it has a lot of Megas in spoilers ahead, Starmie, Barbaracle, and Gyarados. So it actually has a pretty strong variety. However, where it lacks is access to some of those Pokemon in the further areas. When you're trying to do the fly method, you aren't able to get very many spawns for all three of those Pokemon. You're able to get a couple Magikarp, you're able to get Budew, a Staryu or two, and you're able to get that Static Binacle spawn. But that's only about 6 spawns per reset. You are able to alleviate that slightly with the bench method, so that isn't going to take too many points off. But it is a pretty strong area, probably a top of A tier contender. Area 3, what's not there? What can you possibly blame Area 3 for? Area 3 is one of the only zones to have a completely unique way to hunt, that being the stair method, which has taken the internet by storm. There's also a great variety of Pokemon. You have Shiny Alpha Fletchling, you have Shiny Alpha Litleo, you have Skiddo, Esper, Pikachu, Pancham. A lot of these Pokemon are either unavailable elsewhere, or this is their best place to hunt them, as well as having some great shinies. Shiny Skiddo is a very underrated shiny in my opinion. You have shinies like Pikachu, who, while not great right now, will be getting a Mega later on with the DLC, so you're able to prep for that, as well as having Shiny Meowstic, which is one of the best shinies in the game. And you have a couple Megas in here as well. You have your Litleo, you have the Pikachu like I mentioned, and you also have Flabebe, which, while not being a Mega and while not being a particularly good shiny, is a very strong Pokemon and is an alternative to Gardevoir in ranked play. So being able to hunt for a shiny here and maybe even alphas here makes this a pretty strong zone, as well as having access to the rooftops as well whenever you're doing your Fletchling spawns. I think this is a bottom of S tier. I think there are maybe a couple in the game that are a little bit better, but I mean, it's really just a great area. Now Zone 4. Zone 4 is really interesting because it doesn't have that many great Pokemon inside of it. The only real great Pokemon inside of here is Honedge or Ghastly. Shiny Mega Gengar being most people's favorite shiny for the Megas, barring maybe your Charizards or some of their own personal favorite Pokemon. But you also have Honedge, who, you know, this is like this is a Hall of Famer shiny. People always love their black shinies, and this is one of the better ones in the game. But apart from that, you only really have, like, Ariados, Ekans. You get Patrat back from Zone 3, I guess. But with the Zone lacks for the Pokemon inside of it, it actually makes up for Pokemon outside of it. On the left of the spawn, when you fly to it, you have access to the Elemental Monkeys and their Static Alpha. When you're going to the right, you have the trees, which can spawn the monkeys, or it can spawn Weedle and Kakuna. And those kind of bring this up. I would say without them, it's probably a top of A tier for having Shiny Ghastly and Shiny Honedge as interesting hunts. But because you're also getting those outside areas, I think this is also very similar to Zone 3. I would even say it's slightly better than Zone 3 because of those rare spawns and a lot of Mega Pokemon too. Like, it's got the same amount of Megas as Zone 3, while also having some better Shiny Megas. So for Shiny hunting specifically, I think this is a pretty strong S tier contender around the same caliber as Zone 3. That's a Shiny Spinarak right away. Okay. Instantly saw that. Oh my god. I really wanted Honedge, but makes sense I would. Oops! That's a second! Two! That's two! Where? If there was a second shiny, I can just reset. What was the second one? Okay, I couldn't say that. Two Spinnerets! You couldn't even give me a gas. Now, Zone 5. Zone 5 is very interesting, like Zone 4, because it's a lot more dynamic than most other zones. Zone 5 starts out as a somewhat interesting and decent area to hunt in. You get Venipede, Bellsprout, and Bunnelby. And those are pretty good shinies, pretty good because of their new Megas as well, for the two of them that do have them. But it's not great for Fly Method. It's not particularly close to those spawns. And, like, the more interesting area is the Static Alpha Whirlipede, which you can't do the manual hunt for. However, if you have access to a Turbo Controller, you have the Bench Method right there. And that actually gives this area a lot more merit. And ordinarily, that's where it would stop. You'd have this as like a hey, if you have the Bench Method access, this is a pretty interesting one. But it also is one of the only zones that can dual hunt multiple zones, and you'll see in the video why that's so interesting. But being able to get these static hunts in Zone 16 as well, like the Alpha Ampharos, like your Barbaracle and Medicham, and also the Flaffy, you add a lot more to the pool of available Pokemon, which make not only the Fly Method better, but also the Bench Method, which I think barely gets access to the Flaffy. So, I think that this zone can go to almost the top of S tier. I mean, it's not exactly the most glamorous zone, but it's highly efficient for your hunts if you're trying to get all the Megas, or even if you're just looking for some fan favorites, like Diggersby, who, you know, not really a Pokemon talked about much, but it has a really good shiny. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty fair rating for it. Hi, I'm in editing here. I just realized that I put it in the wrong... I put Zone 15 instead of Zone 5 on accident. I thought I put Zone 5s in here because I knew I was going to say what I did. But, yeah, I think top of S tier is a really good spot for Zone 5. But trust me, there's going to be a couple more stinkers as we go. Yeah, we're giving it 2. I want Venipede. I really want Venipede. Oh my god! That's Shiny Flaffy and Shiny Ampharos. Shiny Alpha Ampharos at that. Are you kidding? Alright. What the hell? Okay, that's fucked up. Zone 6. Zone 6 is extremely close to being a perfect area to hunt in. Every single Pokemon, and this is a major spoiler for those of you trying to level with them, every single Pokemon in Area 6 is able to Mega Evolve, which already puts it in a great spot compared to some of these other areas, like Area 1 and some other ones later on in the list. But the most interesting parts of the area aren't really able to be accessed until much later. You get access to, obviously you get the Beneries on the left, you get Static Alpha for Binacle, but you don't get access to the Static Alpha Houndoom from the Fly method, and you also don't get access to Static Alpha Pikachu, which would also be a really interesting hunt for the people who are trying to prepare for the next section. So I would personally say that this area falls a little flat compared to Zone 2. But it is very interesting, and I did have some pretty good luck with it, but I did tell myself that I wasn't going to allow my luck impact how this is going to be rated. So I'm going to put this at low A, maybe middle of A. We'll see by the end of the list. Oh! Shiny Alpha! What the? What? What? Are you kidding? Oh my god. Oh my god, it is so pretty. Oh my god, it looks so good. Oh, please. Holy crap! Are you kidding? Now, Wild Zone 7 is, in my opinion, the first real letdown of an area. Wild Zone 7 doesn't have a lot of good spawns. It has Audino, it has Hippopotas, and it has Shuppet. But all of those Pokemon have better ways to hunt them, or are in more interesting areas with better shinies alongside them. If you ignore those Pokemon, which you can find in other areas, you don't really have much of anything. Floette, better. It's easier to hunt in Zone 3. You have Roselia, easier to hunt in Zone 2 and a part of Zone 3 because of the elevation with Alpha Fletchling. It doesn't inspire anything. It's not even saved bias aesthetic, which some other areas could be, like maybe Zone 12, which we'll get to. It's just not inspired. It doesn't inspire much in me. It doesn't have great hunts. I would say this is a pretty confident low, slightly below average, still a couple redeeming qualities. It's a below average. That's what we're going to call it for now. Going up against Zone 7, we have Zone 8 for what I truly believe is the least visually impressive of all the wild zones. And for those of you who have been watching the shorts know that I am hunting in this area for Shiny Alpha Gible. But it's so ugly. It's not a very fun zone to traverse. It's not a very pretty zone. It's hardly even an interesting zone. It doesn't have the gimmick of having Pokemon underground is done the exact same, if not more interestingly, by zone, I believe it's 17 later on. So however, the Pokemon that you can get inside in this area are so much better than Zone 7. This is the only place to hunt Gible. It's the best place to hunt Drillbur. It's the best place to hunt... it's the only place to hunt Numel. And Machop arguably is easier to hunt in Zone 12, but it's not a bad place to hunt for Machop. I've gotten a shiny Machop from doing this. And you also have some interesting outer zone spawns. Most people don't really check it, but the area behind you has Fletchlings that you are also hunting for while you're doing this. And slightly to the right, there's the Trubbish and Garbodor right there. And those Pokemon also are very hard to method hunt. So as a byproduct of this, I think it goes top of B tier. It's climbing out of average, but it's not interesting to hunt at all. And yeah, I could see an argument for this being a bottom of A tier, but I think a high B tier is exactly where this deserves to go. How do I get on top of this building? Oh, shiny that's 2 shiny Fletchling. That is 2 shiny Fletchling. That is... Oh my god. That is 2 shiny Fletchling on in the same exact spot. Yes. Oh my god. That's so sick. What ball? Ooh, a repeat ball would look good for one of them. And then the other one, a timer ball. Holy shit. Okay, well, that's another 2 shinies. That's another shiny. I just heard another shiny. Oh my god. Where? Ooh, it could be here. Rubbish? No. I think it's on top of the building. It's Kakuna. Weedle. Oh my gosh, shiny Alpha Garbodor! Whoa! What the? Oh my god. Oh my god! It's a static shiny. That's such a cool one too. Oh my god, it's so cool looking. Fuck, it's about to be daybreak. Oh my god. Fuck. Shit. Oh my god. What ball would be good at? It's so cool looking. Low-key a heavy ball. Oh my god. Area 9 is... not to say it's forgettable, but it's not very striking when you're considering all of the hunts that you can do in it. Because there's only 2 Pokemon in range on... There's typically only 2 Pokemon in range when you're doing the fly method in this area. You can only really get access to the Sableye and or Kadabra and sometimes the static Mawile over on the right. But it does have the bench method next to the Alpha Manectric, which does bring it up by quite a lot. Manectric being not only a static alpha, but also being a mega, and also having one of the best mega shiny designs. Now, I personally don't like the bench method. I think it is good. I'm glad it's in the game for people who want to AFK, but I much so prefer my active hunts. So I won't let that personal opinion bring it down, but I think this is a bottom of A, slightly better than Area 8 because it's more fun to traverse inside of, and also has some slightly more interesting Pokemon. It's like the only place where you can actually hunt Carbink, Mawile, and Manectric. You can hunt Manectric you can hunt Electrike elsewhere, but it's really rough as a hunt in there, so I really would not count it. So yeah, bottom of A tier, I'd say. Area 10 is okay. I personally... The problem with Area 10 is that on paper, it's a really good area. You get access to the Static Alpha Sharpedo, which has a great shiny. You get access to Tynamo, who Electros has a Mega in this. You have the Staryus, which also have a great shiny as just a Staryu, but also are a very interesting Mega. You have your Slowpokes, and Slowpoke just got a new shiny. And you have Bellsprout, and this is the best way to hunt, specifically Bellsprout. But the problem, and this is a pretty big problem with these, is that the Tynamos aren't in range. The Arbok aren't in range. That Alpha one isn't in range, rather. The Static Alpha Sharpedo isn't in range. So you're really only getting the Bellsprout spawn, the Slowpoke spawn, and the Carvanha spawn. And ordinarily, that would kill most zones. But those are some really good shinies. So I think without those shinies being as good, it's probably a C tier. But it has some really good shinies, so I'm going to actually put it slightly above Zone 1. And I'd say it's a fair bit worse than Zone 8, just because Zone 8's losing a lot of points for not being very interesting. Yeah, I'd say this is slightly above average, a little rough around the edges, but it works out. Zone 11 is so close to being the best zone in the game. It has some interesting shinies. It has Stunfisk, which is a typically harder hunt to do in something like Sword and Shield because you have to moss it in. There's also shiny Inkay, technically, that you can get in here. And there is the shiny Alpha Gyarados and shiny Alpha Clawitzer, both of which have not just iconic, but beautiful shinies. But the problem is, a lot of the good spawns in this area are slightly out of the fly range. So you have to rely on doing the bench method for this area. And while that's not exactly a bad thing for some, it makes active hunting in this area a lot slower than some of the other areas. I think it would be unfair to detract like how beautiful and how interesting some of the spawns in this area are compared to something like Area 8. But I think it does barely beat Area 9, but I don't think it's... I think if it was easier to hunt in, it would be able to keep up with Area 6. But I think it falls just below that threshold. This is a good 7 out of 10. This is a true 7 out of 10 area that is almost able to be a 10 out of 10 area. I like that. That's fun. Oh, shiny. Sorry. Yeah. I found... There's a shiny somewhere here. Oh, shiny Clauncher! Oh, it's beautiful! Wild Zone 12 finds itself in a very similar area to Wild Zone 11. In fact, I think, before I even discuss it, I'm going to say it's slightly worse than Area 11. Area 11 has really good and noticeable shinies, whereas Area 12 has some very subtle and also some very pretty shinies. It does have access to Go-Goat. It has 2 shiny Megas from the Snorunt line, as well as having Abomasnow. But you can't really method hunt a lot of the spawns like Avalugg. You're not able to really get access to one of the Go-Goats, so you're kind of really only running for the one. So a lot of the time, you're really relying on the bench method to bring it all home for you on this one, because the Fly is really out of range of all the interesting spawns. So I don't think it would be fair to detract the fact that the bench method does get access to most of the Pokemon in this area, but I do think it's only slightly worse than Area 11, because of Area 11, you can still do a lot of the hunts doing the fly method. Whereas Area 12, you just can't. And that's just how it is. I mean, it's very pretty. I think putting these two next to each other is an extremely fair thing to do. Wild Zone 13 sets itself apart in 2 key ways. it not only shares a commonality with Area 1 by having 2 different spawn points that let you hunt very different Pokemon, but it also has a very drastic difference between the night and day spawns available for it. You're able to find Vivillon during the day, but then you're also able to find Phantump, Alpha Trevenant, and Scyther at night. And this area also has a lot of megas. It has Scizor, it has Trevenant, not Trevenant, sorry. It has Scizor, it has Pinsir, it has Heracross, and a lot of those are also amazing shinies. Heracross is a great shiny. Pinsir is heavily underrated. It really brings out a lot of interesting details about the Mega in its shiny. And it's also pretty easy to hunt in when you compare it to something like Area 12 or Area 11. I think it sits slightly above Area 6. Area 6 doesn't have access to those static alpha hunts in the way that something like Area 13 does. I'm thinking of the wrong zone. I'm thinking of Area 15. Ooh. I just realized this area doesn't have access to those. I'm thinking of the wrong zone. This goes a lot more down because of that. I'm thinking of Area 15's multi-zones. You're not able to fly method the Scyther. You are able to get access to the Pinsirs. I know you're able to get access to the Vivillons, and you might be able to get access to the Scythers, but if you can, I know you can't get access to the Heracrosses. I am actually going to put this below Area 11 and 12, and while we've already sung its praises, let's talk about Area 15. Area 15, going a little out of order here, has a lot of strengths that a lot of other areas don't have. You have the double fly. You have some really interesting shinies in Scolipede coming in here in maybe the best way to hunt it. You have Beedrill, who's here as well. You have Alpha Gourgeist. You have Banette during the night instead of Scolipede, if you prefer. And you also have access to Larvitar, which is very difficult to hunt, or it would be if it wasn't in range of the cafe spawn. So I think I would even say Area 15 deserves to go into S tier. This is a great zone with a lot of great Pokemon, and it's also very interesting to hunt in because you can really choose what you want to find here. I swear I keep hearing... Oh, shiny Beedrill! Real. Oh, God, fuck, sorry. Oh my God. I have no fucking clue. Oh shoot, I'm about to fail this Beedrill. Oh my God, I got it. Oh, I just heard a shiny somewhere. That's hilarious timing. Shiny Panpour in a tree! That's my second one. Area 14 is very divisive in that depending on what you're looking for in a hunt, it's very straight and narrow, literally and figuratively. It is a straight line down the middle, and it is just a whole rectangle, but it also only really has the ability to method hunt either Aron or very rarely Onix. Onix does spawn as an uncommon spawn in the burrows, but a lot of the time you're mainly going to be hunting out those Arons. You can manual hunt for Excadrill, which is a very pretty shiny and is very cool. And you also have Emolga, who has been very difficult to hunt before this game, only really having the Masuda hunt. I would say because of its lackluster variety of Pokemon from its fly spam and not having access to something like the bench method makes this a slightly below average area, but I could see it trading places with Area 1 as a true average. If you're a fan of Aggron, hey, this is probably the best zone in the game for you. But if you're looking for a little bit more, like maybe getting access to those Excadrills, I would probably say this is a below average area. Area 16 is tricky because it actually has some of the most fun hunts in the game in Phalanx. It has Phalanx, it has Barbaracle, it has the Static Ampharos, and it has Froakie, which make it really good. However, hunting for Area 16 specifically is very annoying because you effectively don't have access to half the map. You get exactly up to the Froakie with the tower, and then it gets split in half. The only way to hunt that second half is to also hunt in Area 5, which to some people isn't a bad thing, but it makes it tricky to truly say that it stands on its own. I think having Mega Phalanx in there, having Mega Barbaracle, having Mega Ampharos, also having Mega Starmie, and also being so easy to hunt with Area 5, and having what is most people's favorite shiny in Greninja, also Mega Greninja now, I think it stands slightly taller than Area 3, but I will put it below Area 15. Area 15 stands on its own legs in a lot of ways, whereas Area 16 carries a little bit of the success from Area 5 without having the same strength as it. So I'm going to put it slightly lower, but if you think Area 5 is good, you also think Area 16 is good. That is an instant shiny Phalanx. That's a phase. Well, it's not even a phase. I already had this. Tim, I hunted this for 8 hours a day for 3 days without being able to get this, and it just spawned instantly. I mean, It got out. Get in the ball. Every single one of these Pokeballs I throw cost me 3 bands. Area 17. Let's talk about it. Area 17, on paper, it should be one of the best areas in the game. It has Chespin, it has the Dig Burrows for Diggersby, which make it interesting. It has Verticality for Lampent and Klefki and Mawile, and it has Skarmory in it, which has a Mega. You have Pyroar, who has a Mega. Chandelure has a Mega. Every Pokemon in this area has a Mega, except for Diggersby. So on paper, this should be one of the best, if not the best zone in the game. But oh my god, the Pyroars! Trying to do anything in this area without killing every single Pyroar is a nightmare. And that doesn't even include having to catch a Pyroar. Let's say you have one shiny Pyroar. The best way to ordinarily clear out all the Pyroars is to go for Surf. Just wipe them all out at once. Or Earthquake. Something to that effect. Something big, something with a strong AoE. But it just doesn't come close to mattering when you have to catch one Pokemon specifically. And then, let's say you were like, I hear the shiny Sparkle, it's none of the Pyroars. Let me go check up top. Yeah, it's probably going to be that Alpha Mawile. That's going to be a fun one. You go up there, you see your Alpha Mawile? Oh, what's that? Is that 4 Earth Powers hitting me immediately? Oh, great. Now I have to go back down, kill all the Pyroars, and deal with this. It's not just... And... It's not just annoying to hunt in. It's just... The odds of you getting something that aren't Pyroar are so low, and the fly method in this area literally only hunts Diggersby and rare spawn Chespin. If you like Chespin, you're probably jumping for joy thinking about that, but I really hope you like Diggersby too then, because you're gonna get like 5 Diggersby before you get access to this shiny. So ultimately, I think it's the worst zone in the game. I think it's uncontested in that. It's a lot of the shinies in it aren't that great, even if they're interesting. Shiny Pyroar isn't that good. Shiny Mega Pyroar is a lot better, but being a lackluster Mega does make it it does put a little bit of a damper on the mood there. So, yeah, I'm going to call it the worst in the game, and I'm going to say that confidently. Area 18, in stark contrast to Area 17, is so interesting to hunt in. Like Area 17 and 16, it has access to a static starter. It also has access to static Alpha Salamence, which is one of the coolest hunts in the game if you do manage to get it. It also has access to Altaria, and it has access to Noivern, and like I said, Fennekin. And not as discussed when thinking about this area, it does have static Alpha Lopunny, which is in range of the bench. Where this area struggles is that the best way to hunt in this area is almost always going to be the bench. You're able to get access to pretty much every spawn in it, except for potentially Lopunny. So, when you're sitting in it, you have to wonder, is that a worthwhile trade, or am I really just looking for that Salamence? Because if you're just looking for the Salamence, you have access to the Fly Method, but that's really all you can get with the Fly Method here. It's really complicated, I think. I think this is a really good high A tier. Every shiny in this area is beautiful, unquestionably. A lot of them are strong competitively. And, you know, if the Fly Method was a little bit more potent in here, I think it would get an S tier. But as the top of A tier here, I think it's going to sit for the rest of this. Area 19 is very similar to Area 17 in a lot of ways. It has some of the best shinies in the game. Shiny Furfrou is a very much so underrated shiny. You have Shiny Drampa, which is a very pretty shiny with a new Mega. You have Shiny Audino, who, while the Mega shiny isn't that good, normal Shiny Audino is great. And you also have the only way to actively hunt Eevee consistently in this area, which is one of the most popular Pokemon with some of the most popular shinies. However, this area has one key issue, and that is Kangaskhan. Oh my god, Kangaskhan is a nightmare to deal with in this area. Kangaskhan, like, whenever you like walk in, you're like, wow, I hear a shiny, let me go look for it. You're like, wow, I found my shiny Eevee. And then you're trying to catch it. 3 Kangaskhan have already caught up to you. 2 Furfrou are there, and an Audino is clicking Wish in the background, not really doing anything. But the concept of 8 Pokemon being on top of you is really scary. And I wish that was the only problem, but one of the best shinies in this area, Drampa, isn't huntable with the Fly Method. You have to walk in consistently to get access to that shiny. I won't pretend that would be enough alone to make it really like a bad area, but honestly, for manual hunting, I'm gonna have to give this slightly below average. I think if you're willing to put up with the Kangaskhan's, or if you're willing to knock them out, it's not as frustrating of an area to hunt in. But I think there's noticeably better areas, and I don't think it's fair to other areas like Area 14 to put it up there because of how good Shiny Eevee is in this area. If that were the case, something like Area 17 would get ahead for having Shiny Chessman. That is a Shiny Audino. Now let's talk about what is, in my opinion, the best zone in the game. Area 20 has exactly what you would want out of most areas and then some. It has multiple fly zones, so you can target your hunts a little easier. It has the one for the normal area where you get access to Bulbasaur spawns, Chikorita spawns, Totodile spawns, Squirtle spawns, Malamar, Gardevoir, Roserade, and Dragalge. And ordinarily, that alone would be enough to make an area a top contender in any list. But then, you also have access to both of the fire starters, Charizard and Emboar, who have some of the best shinies in the game. You also have access to Aggron and Lucario if you want a manual hunt. And honestly, even if it had all of that, I wouldn't have said it was a better area than Area 5 if it weren't for the double random static alphas in the center. Being able to randomly hunt for any 2 megas or any 2 static alphas at any point is so fun. Whenever you go into this area, you can't fly method it, but you get to walk in, go in there and see, what am I gonna get? You could get something extremely lame, like a shiny Pidgeot, a shiny alpha Pidgeot. You could get a shiny alpha Florges and be like, I could have gotten these in Area 3. Or you can walk in there and see shiny static alpha Metagross. I personally didn't get to experience that yet, but I know that I'm going to be hunting a lot in this area looking for one of those crazy cool static alphas. So, ultimately, yeah, I'm gonna say that Area 20 is the best area in the game. Dragalge! I love Dragalge! It's so beautiful! This is exactly what I wanted. Oh my god, what ball do I have? Wow. It's fucking stunning. Pardon my leg. No, it doesn't fit. But gosh, it's just so pretty. And before you go, thanks for watching. This video took a lot more effort than I expected it to, but I'm really proud of how it turned out, and I hope to make some more content like this in the future. So if you can just do me a favor and like, comment, favorite, subscribe, so I can keep making videos like these for you, that'd mean the world to me. Anyway, peace out and have a good day.